2014 Most Valuable Player at the World Championships, won by the United States and for Brazil. A lot of new names, a lot of new faces, but one of them, Kevin, not so unfamiliar, Natalia Pereira, 2 times MVP of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, she is terrific. She is the opposite there to Tandara. They have offense all around the wheels, so one in the back or one in the front. You'll see them up together at times. You definitely want that. You want balance in your offense. You don't want to go to one player all the time.
So the United States will be in their red, white, and blue. Best 3 out of 5 sets. First 4 sets to 25 points. There is Karch Kiraly, now in his 5th year as head coach for the United States, the 3-time Olympic champion indoors.
In the front, you'll see them up together at times. You definitely want that. You want balance in your offense. You don't want to go to one player all the time.
So the United States will be in their red, white, and blue. Best 3 out of 5 sets. First 4 sets to 25 points. There is Karch Kiraly, now in his 5th year as head coach for the United States, the 3-time Olympic champion indoors in 1984 and 88, and on the beach in 1996. There is Jose Guimarães. Roberto, now 63 years of age, and certainly one of the legends in the sport in his 15th year as the head coach.
I asked Roberto Jose here right before the match, I said, why are you still here? He said, it's what I do. I love what I do. I love the people I do it with. That's why I'm staying.
And certainly did not want to end his career the way it did for the Brazilian women, with a very disappointing loss in the quarterfinals in Rio. Underway. And Jordan Larson is immediately stuffed on the outside by Carol and Natalia.
There's Megan Courtney there at the libero. Good pass from her immediately to start out. Best passer in Grand Prix on the United States side.
And speaking of best, let's talk about Brazil and their ability to block the ball. They were by far the best blocking team at the Grand Prix, which they won for the 4th time in the last 5 years as Tandara sprays that ball out of bounds.
And you alluded to it earlier. Not the tallest team they've ever had. Not the tallest team in the tournament by far in Grand Prix, but still put up performance after performance. 20 blocks in 4 sets at one point.
There is Jordan Larson wearing number 10, now 30 years of age, 6'2", out of Cooper, Nebraska. The 2-time Olympian won a silver in London and a bronze medal at the Rio Olympics. There's Natalia, only one of 2 players on this Brazilian roster that's a holdover from the Rio Olympic Games. A very much new-look Brazilian team working on Kim Hill down the line.
Yeah, and Kim Hill has been a frequent target for serving.
And Gabby Guimarães, no relationship to the head coach, high off the block and out of bounds.
I like the way she plays. She hits the ball hard, high. She's quick off the ground. She's a little bit different. Something different you can throw at the ball.
Sunday, a match won easily by the United States, but Natalia doing her work, 14 of 26 in attacking. Quick set to the right side on our first look at 6'5", Ayanna Whitney, now 24 years of age, twice the national champion for Russ Rose at Penn State.
Karch Kiraly saying Ayanna Whitney has a really high contact point. We like that about her. And you can't teach 6'5". That is a huge player in the women's game.
Adams now serving for the United States. Tough jump floater. Tip over the top of that ball. Looked like it was on the floor. Brazil certainly thought so.
Brazil always thinks so.
Oh, that should have been a double contact. Referees letting them play early. Tandara again, high up off the top of the block and out of bounds. One of the big guns that Tandara you're going to see along with Natalia, among others.
Brazil has a certain fearlessness with a lot of their outside hitters. They don't think to doink the ball all over the place. They will get up there in a variety of situations and put some heat on the thing and challenge your block and make some good moves.
Very little doinking coming from the side of Brazil.
I'm not sure that's an actual volleyball word. Maybe it is now.
Anna Carolina da Silva plays by the name of Carol. Once again, Brazil working on Kim Hill.
Yeah, they're going to continue to work on Kim Hill. Not passing that effectively. And in addition to that, you take her out of rhythm. And Kim Hill is a player who does not put a ton of heat on the ball. Even though Karch Kiraly says she's made huge strides physically, set some new PRs in the early part of the year where she's been in the weight room and light volleyball action while not participating in Grand Prix. She still doesn't have the heat of a Tandara type outside hitter.
There is Carol once again. Brazil with the early 5-2 advantage.
Volleyball action while not participating in Grand Prix. She still doesn't have the heat of a Tandara type outside hitter.
There is Carol once again. Brazil with the early 5-2 advantage. Good reach into the cross court. Ayanna Whitney registers her second kill.
A lot of open court. It was delivered that time from Carly Lloyd off a perfect pass. That time from Kim Hill.
Hampton Grand Champions Cup, that tournament coming up in Tokyo and Nagoya in September 5th through the 10th. That will include China, Japan, Korea, Russia, the United States, and Brazil in that tournament. It's the big international championship of this, the first year of the next quadrennial. Not one of the biggest tournaments, certainly, quite frankly. The World Championships coming up in 2018, followed by the World Cup. Faluka Akinradawo is blocked on the outside by Gabby.
Gabby is not big, but bottom line is this team makes good moves. Watch the move here. It's a swing block. She's in a good spot, kind of almost centered, not into the angle, not onto the line. Seam shot. Blocking is footwork and position. 1 point
away from the first technical timeout. International Volleyball technical TTOs when a team reaches 8 and when a team reaches 16. And Kim Hill coming back with a side out off the edge of the block.
Do you think the scouting reports that served Kim Hill? That's all they've done is serve down the line to the 6'4" player out of Pepperdine. Had never played outside hitter till the international game.
Really interesting story about how she ascended not only onto the national team, the Olympic team, and also most valuable player at the World Championships. For that in a moment. Jordan Larson cuffing down the line. Brazil playing some good defense early. Hill out of the back row, and that's going to be an illegal attack from behind, or not quite far enough behind the 3-meter line. So just underway here in Anaheim, the United States and Brazil. And the grand... Kevin, let's take a look at that last play. Kim Hill violating the 3-meter line, but also, again, Carly Lloyd having to adjust to some new faces in the lineup.
Yeah, certainly that maybe is a little bit of the rust for Kim Hill, having not been in competition as much as some of the other players on the floor, certainly for the side on Brazil. She'll get that fixed. That's an unconscious thing. You have to know where you are, court awareness.
Perfect pass,
insistence as much as some of the other players on the floor, certainly for the side on Brazil. She'll get that fixed. That's an unconscious thing. You have to know where you are, court awareness.
Perfect pass, insistent. Jordan Larson up into the block. And again, off the edges and out of bounds.
But again, good spots from Brazil. They touch both of those. I like the pop there from Jordan Larson. It's amazing when you get a little time to lift, when you get a little time to rest, active recovery, what you can do with your velocity. Jordan has raised hers in the last 18 months to 2 years. She's become a more powerful attacker.
Jordan Larson considered a serve by Faluka Akinradawo. Just to finish the thought on Larson, there she is, number 10. One of the most decorated American players, not only at the Olympic level, but at the club level. She's become a superstar.
Back-to-back Champions League MVP for 2 different teams in consecutive years. Amazing. Jordan Larson is a 5-tool player. There's nothing in this game she cannot do.
Missed that ball just out of bounds.
But I like it. I like the aggressiveness. I like the assertiveness. I think sometimes Team USA, gold medal squared influences, those kind of teams get too conservative with situations. Sometimes you got to be aggressive, and especially in year 1, take some chances so that in year 4 you can crack a ball like that in for a point.
There is Ana Beatriz, who was exceptional off the bench for Brazil in their victory in the Grand Prix. Ayana Whitney has been very effective so far, her 3rd kill. And also for the United States, adding more back row attacking into the mix.
A huge hole for them in Grand Prix. They had virtually nothing out of the back row. That's actually their best play, is inside out. They come out of the middle back with their opposite as Brazil returns the favor.
On the slide, that ball missed out of bounds by Carroll, begging for a touch and not going to get one.
With the back row, Paul, keep an eye for the United States. We saw that side out one, but keep an eye in transition if they can generate it. That was the biggest problem for Team USA. They could not hit well out of the back row. Look at the left. John Spraw.
On the slide, that ball missed out of bounds by Carroll, begging for a touch and not going to get one.
With the back row, Paul, keep an eye for the United States. We saw that side out one, but keep an eye in transition if they can generate it. That was the biggest problem for Team USA. They could not hit well out of the back row. Look at the left. John Spraw in attendance, men's head coach.
Oh, roof by Larson. Number 10, one-on-one against Carroll.
When you played this game as long as Jordan Larson has, things slow down. You've seen so many iterations of offenses of hitters. That is a great spot.
According to Internet Reports, one of the highest paid players in the world at about $1 billion a year. Oh, back in. Rachel Adams. In 2016, number 5, Rachel Adams came in for Tori Dixon, went on to star at the Olympics and was voted the most improved player on Team USA. And a nice little mini run here, Kevin, forcing a Brazilian timeout.
Rachel Adams, number 5 in blue, is a player who does not need a sweep block move. She takes a little double tap, left hand over, incredibly athletic and long.
Rachel Adams, 6'2", now 27 years of age, originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and plying her trade professionally in Turkey, certainly one of the world's best leagues, where Jordan Larson also plays.
Out of the Cincinnati area, actually went to the same grade school as Max Holt, who stars on the men's team. I don't think Cincinnati has a hot spot for volleyball, but certainly heated up by Max Holt and Rachel Adams. That's something Coach Karai preaches right there, what you just saw. Two young opposites talking to one another. When you are off the floor, you are expected to participate in what's happening on the floor. Come in and talk to your competitor and your teammate. It's co-opetition in the huddle. Help out, talk to her about what you're seeing from a different perspective outside of the floor.
Brazil stuck in this rotation now. Carly Lloyd, rotation number 1 for the United States. Particularly strong blocking out of the back row and ripped down the line. Tandara, number 11, registering the kill.
Help out, talk to her about what you're seeing from a different perspective outside of the floor.
Brazil stuck in this rotation now. Carly Lloyd, rotation number 1 for the United States. Particularly strong blocking out of the back row and ripped down the line. Tandara, number 11, registering the kill. Tandara Kincheta, now 28 years of age, at only 6 feet tall, has a wonderful arm. She was one of their leading scorers throughout the course of the Grand Prix.
15 kills on Sunday to Tandara.
Quick play to the outside and a one-on-one stuck by Tandara, working on Whitney, who is closed for the first time.
I don't know. I'd love to see on the left as we get a little longer look at Whitney, whether she can hit that fastball on the left-hand side. Opposites struggle on the left so often.
Up into the block once again, and don't tell me that this Brazilian team is undersized, because they really block a lot of balls.
Again, perfect positioning, perfect timing. That's what it was. Out on that right-hand side. And look, if you're the opposite and you get a ball like that, you got to hit it or do something with it. You can't just tap it in the block that way.
Here's the starting setter, Roberta Ratsky, filling in for Danny Lins, who has starred for Brazil for the last several years. Off-speed shot successfully to the floor and down by Larson.
Just a smart play. Recognition, too, with all those reps, with all those high-level reps that Jordan Larson has had. It's the ability to read situations quickly in that tiny time frame.
Well, both teams passing the ball very well. Carroll quickly out of the middle. You mentioned Jordan Larson getting some time off to recover and lift. Talk about what a year looks like for a professional volleyball player.
No, it's a stupid year. So you spend on the national team, you'll go from somewhere around late April, early May until September, October. It actually used to be later into November with your national team. And then you will come home for, say, 4 days, 5 days, fly to your professional club, and then your professional club paid a lot of money for you. You come in, you're expected to kill the ball, you're expected to pass it. On the national team, you'll go from somewhere around late April, early May until September, October. It actually used to be later into November with your national team. And then you will come home for, say, 4 days, 5 days, fly to your professional club, and then your professional club paid a lot of money for you. You come in, you're expected to kill the ball, you're expected to pass the ball at a high level, you're expected to be the player that powers that team. In so many cases, certainly the case for Jordan Larson, although she plays on some high-powered squats. And you play then all the way until May. You maybe come home and get 4 or 5 days off and start the cycle again. There is no off-season for an international volleyball player, and that's why in this first year you see so many players taking pieces of seasons or entire seasons off of national team play.
Gabriela Sousa, the 5'8" libero, wearing number 14 for Brazil. With a perfect pass, Brazil got out to a quick 8-4 lead. The United States came back to take the advantage 10-9. Both teams streaking a little bit. And number 16, Felipe Raduo with the kill out of the middle.
Paul, it's not just the physical wear and tear, which you might think of with that schedule, but it's also the mental aspect of things. And in fact, Adenitia, who he's off play well for Brazil over Grand Prix, asked for time off at the end of Grand Prix so she could prepare for her season. And that's an emotional decision, too, not just physical.
Tandara will go back to serve. Brazil leading in this best 3 out of 5 set match. Again, both of these teams concluding their preparations for the upcoming Grand Champions Cup. Brazil will leave for Japan tomorrow. Boy, you like the ball control for Brazil once again. Going quickly to Ana Beatriz as she kills that ball off the slide. Teams will head to the sideline. Steve Timmons and Dusty Dvorak and Aldous Persians and so many others.
Speaking of your teammates, a little shout out to Chris Marlowe. Also gold medalist, just had his knee replaced. Hope Chris is getting better.
I texted with Chris just yesterday to read your mind a little bit. Said, I know you had the surgery and I've been back from traveling. He said, I'm just going off the heavy meds, so I don't know what's going to happen. Steve Timmons and Dusty Dvorak and Aldous Persians and so many others.
Speaking of your teammates, a little shout out to Chris Marlowe. Also gold medalist, just had his knee replaced. Hope Chris is getting better.
I texted with Chris just yesterday to read your mind a little bit. Said, I know you had the surgery and I've been back from traveling. He said, I'm just going off the heavy meds, so I don't know what's going to happen.
He's like the $6 million man. He'll be back better than ever.
Unforced error here for the United States, and now Brazil with the 4-point advantage. And here is Tandara again. Nice chop inside the block by Hill. Why is Brazil targeting her?
Oh, historically, she has not been a smooth passer. She's new to that passing position. Did not play it in college. Only went as an outside hitter last moment to the tryout in which she made this international club. But she's done a good job adjusting to it. And actually, we were talking about the relationships earlier. Carly Lloyd and Kim Hill in perfect relation in that play.
Gabby Guimara is on the outside. Just another note on Kim Hill to finish their thought. She came to a tryout, an open tryout, with 250 other players. She was one of a small group to survive. Not only did she survive, she became MVP of the World Championships.
Yeah, that's thriving. Surviving, thriving.
Nice play out of the back row once again for the United States, trying to stay in contact, now trailing by 3.
Another nice back row play, but again, it is inside out. The U.S. has had that. Watch and see if Karchkarai's group can do it in transition when they get the opportunity to go to that back row.
Here is Akinradua. Off the block and out of bounds of Jordan Larson. Akinradua, like Larson, also a 2-time Olympian.
Here's why we're making such a big deal about the back row attacking, Paul. When these two teams met in the final match of pool play where Brazil had to have a win in Brazil over the United States, Brazil went 17 of 23 out of the middle back position, hitting mostly wrist away to position 5. Absolutely destroyed the United States block and defense with that particular attack, and the United States could not respond in that way. It was a vital part of pool play where Brazil had to have a win in Brazil over the United States. Brazil went 17 of 23 out of the middle back position, hitting mostly wrist away to position 5. Absolutely destroyed the United States block and defense with that particular attack, and the United States could not respond in that way. It was a vital part and a vital weapon for Brazil in their championship run.
Amanda Francisco will come on and serve very well indeed, put the United States in some trouble. A little bit of a micro touch quickly to the cross court. Tandara with a dig. And Rachel Adams, pretty good timing there with Carly Lloyd, but missed the off-speed shot out of bounds. And Brazil with a comfortable 20-15 advantage. And head coach Karchkarai will use one of his 2 timeouts allotted to each team per set. Although there were a lot of different players on an American roster that really acquitted itself well during the Grand Prix. It was push coming to shove. Look at this crowd. Look at this atmosphere in Brazil.
Coach said this was great for our team to learn how to play in this atmosphere. 11,000 plus people packed into the arena, but Brazil performed well. And you can see those back row attacks. Tandara was deadly. Side out, transition, didn't matter. Look at that. All wrist away and all Brazil 3-1 to even put themselves into the final. Then remember, if you watch Grand Prix in the finals, the Netherlands was up 14-11 on China. One more point, Netherlands goes to the medal round. Brazil, done. Back to Brazil and awaiting Grand Champions Cup. Z. Roberto's club watched a China rally and had to unpack the suitcases and put it back together. They end up winning it all.
They beat Serbia in the semifinals.
A shocker.
A shocker indeed. And then beat Italy in the finals. And also, I won't call it a shocker, but maybe an equally big surprise that Italy made it to the gold medal as well. We saw the best teenager on the planet, Paula Egonu. Just remember that name. 6'3", was the leading scorer in the Grand Prix. She's the best teenager indeed, and then beat Italy in the finals. And also, I won't call it a shocker, but maybe an equally big surprise that Italy made it to the gold medal as well. We saw the best teenager on the planet, Paula Egonu. Just remember that name. 6'3", was the leading scorer in the Grand Prix. She's the best teenager in the world. 18 years old.
Yeah, she ran out of a little gas there at the end, but don't worry. She'll refuel and be back.
Tandara.
And no challenge system here. That ball looked like it might be close, but we don't have the challenge system in effect in this particular match.
A couple of friendlies played here in Southern California. There's a very good relationship between coaching staffs of these two countries. There is Lloyd once again. The United States within 3. Good stat there by Lloyd. A really good athlete for setting position.
We've seen it a few times already in this match.
Bambara misses it again. Jordan Larson playing a little conservatively down the line, and maybe now it's time for Brazil to call a timeout. They have given up most of that 5-point advantage. Carly Lloyd, wearing number 3, currently the captain of this United States team, an All-American at the University of California, now playing, or was playing professionally in Italy. But she has moved. Oh, what a block by Rachel Adams. Carly Lloyd has moved up to one of the top clubs in the world in Turkey.
This should be a good blocking rotation for the Americans with Rachel Adams up there next to Iona Whitney at 6'5". Karch Kreising in practice. Whitney's been given a lot of trouble to Jordan Larson and the other left side attackers.
So a timeout is called by Brazil, a 4-0 run for Karch Kreising in the United States.
If you're Brazil or if you're the United States, you couldn't get a better matchup headed to Grand Champions Cup. You touched on it earlier. You have these end-of-year tournaments, Grand Champions Cup, World Championships, World Cup, before getting back to an Olympic Games. If you're Brazil or if you're the United States, you couldn't get a better matchup headed to Grand Champions Cup. You touched on it earlier. You have these end-of-year tournaments, Grand Champions Cup, World Championships, World Cup, before getting back to an Olympic Games. This is the least important of those events. But here's who's playing in it. The good matches will be U.S.-Brazil, U.S.-China. Those will be the best matches. Japan, we saw them do a good job of beating themselves. They beat Serbia in World Grand Prix, so there may be a threat to give you a thrilling match. Russia is terrible. They're young and bad. We'll see what they do with the coaching situation. And South Korea historically has been Kim Yong-kyung and a bunch of other people on the court, too.
That was a beautiful swing. Natalia.
Oh, right back to Aretsky does indeed. Natalia Pereira smartly off the top of the block and out of bounds for a very important score for Brazil.
Rewind it and watch the contact point back to back for Natalia there. Perfect. That's just how you do it. That one in the high seam with one up, and then the second one here. Turn it high off the hands, put it down the line where no one is located.
It was Roberta Ratsky misses that serve badly. I was speaking with the Brazilian head coach, Roberto, about Roberta Ratsky. Said he just loves her demeanor, nothing flashy. She just delivers the ball in an ideal position each and every time.
Listen, when they won Grand Prix, it was all about her choices and her location. Karch Kreising said, well, she's more readable than previous Brazilian setters. Yeah, that's fine. Be readable all you want. If the ball's perfect, the hitters don't care.
A serve for Jordan Larson, tied at 21.
I believe that's blackjack.
Rachel Adams again is on fire, blocking number 5 in blue.
And she's doing a great job with her left hand. She's stopping, she's getting over. Watch her left hand. It's over the net at the point of impact, cutting off that angle. You cut off angles by pushing through, not by reaching across.
Blocking number 5 in blue.
And she's doing a great job with her left hand. She's stopping, she's getting over. Watch her left hand. It's over the net at the point of impact, cutting off that angle. You cut off angles by pushing through, not by reaching across.
Natalia ripping into the cross court. This time getting the ball past Kim Hill at 6'4" and Rachel Adams inside at 6'2".
I think on that second coup swing, Kim Hill didn't make the inside adjustments for that set. Let the play happen.
Natalia, last 2 years, MVP of the Grand Prix. Brazil has won that tournament 4 out of the last 5 years, and the Grand Prix is going to be changed and rebranded now to the World League. And that's what I found out. It is so long overdue. The Men's World League and the Women's World League will have equal prize money going forward.
Yeah, long overdue indeed. I actually thought Grand Prix was the harder of the 2 tournaments for many, many years. They paid substantially less.
Adams playing some defense, a little bit of a miscue, and it cost the United States tied at 23.
The United States flew over 30,000 miles in Grand Prix air miles this past year. Karch Kreising, when it gets rebranded World League, the scary thing is it gets even longer. The format's going to go longer. How that's possible.
Well, and as contrast, China, who we talked about, the United States traveled 31,000 miles. I don't think China traveled 1,000 miles.
No, China did nothing, but when you can pack the stands the way China can, you get that benefit.
Tied at 23. Here's middle blocker Carroll back to serve.
And China still couldn't medal. Jenny Long-Ping, actually, Paul, you and I talked about a lot during Grand Prix. But would she return? In fact, she will. She has.
Well, she is, however, the chief coach. And when you're the chief coach, you come back whenever you want. Set point number 1 for the United States.
Come back for U.S. here in set 1.
Quickly to the outside, and Gabby, number 10 in yellow, turning that ball.
She has.
Well, she is, however, the chief coach. And when you're the chief coach, you come back whenever you want. Set point number 1 for the United States.
Come back for U.S. here in set 1.
Quickly to the outside, and Gabby, number 10 in yellow, turned that ball wrist away. Talked about this team being undersized in Brazil, and it certainly is. Thaisa Mendez now out with injury. May come back. 6'5". Fabiana Claudino, an amazing athlete at 6'3".
Well, they can go to Rosa Maria, who's a little bit bigger at the outside hitter as a sub.
Gabriella with the dig again out of the back row, dumped by the United States and out of bounds. But there it is once again. When Brazil needs it, they go to the backcourt.
And in transition, they do it. Roberta, choices and location with her hitters. Well done. And here's the woman who should have been MVP of Grand Prix this past year.
I agree with that. I agree.
Italia's terrific. This woman, Tandara, was better.
Now set point for Brazil, leading 25-24. Brazil looking at Kim Hill in the left back, and that's exactly where they go. Perfect pass. The slide not there. We talked about Akinradowo, Rachel Adams with a new setter, and maybe it comes to back to bite the United States. Set number 1 goes to Brazil.
When you have a connection you have to work on, you have to set it no matter the cost. The U.S. is utilizing these matches the way you should. You have to work on what you're not good at instead of going with what you have definite confidence in.
Teams will change sides. The opening set, best 3 out of 5, goes to Brazil.
The head coach in Hawaii, that was a team that started rough, finished strong. Remember, they took out Cuba in that quarterfinal, decimated Cuba, and that kind of set the stage for them. Jose Guimaraes came through in that one, and then when the United States was in different matches, though, the United States in this one, really, they worked their way into the tournament. They weren't expecting to be in that gold medal match. If you watched them play early, Roberta Namani, part of that team, Robin Dos Santos, now the head coach at Hawaii. That was a team that started rough, finished strong. Remember, they took out Cuba in that quarterfinal, decimated Cuba, and that kind of set the stage for them. Jose Guimaraes came through in that one, and then when the United States was the favorite 4 years later, came through again over an American team that destroyed them in set 1.
Jose Guimaraes, the only coach in Olympic volleyball history to win 3 gold medals as a coach, the first leading the Brazilian men back in Barcelona in 1990.
Kind of set the stage for them. Jose Guimaraes came through in that one, and then when the United States was the favorite 4 years later, came through again over an American team that destroyed him in set 1.
Jose Guimaraes, the only coach in Olympic volleyball history to win 3 gold medals as a coach, the first leading the Brazilian men back in Barcelona in 1992, as we were just underway here in the second set back with 2-time Olympian Kevin Barnett on pole in Barcelona in 1992, as we are just underway here in the second set back with 2-time Olympian Kevin Barnett on pole. Thanks for joining us on the Olympic Channel, home of Team USA. The last of 2 tune-ups, if you will, between Brazil and the United States before they head to Japan tomorrow.
These matches are so vitally important for these teams. It's so hard to get a quality opponent. Both coaching staff have to be overjoyed that this was able to be put together by the order for these teams. It's so hard to get a quality opponent. Both coaching staff have to be overjoyed that this was able to be put together by the organizations, particularly by USA Volleyball, making this happen in their home, Anaheim, where they had not played an international match to this point until Sunday.
Jordan Larson, now the veteran at 30 years of age. And that's always a little bit of a question mark. The Olympics seem like an awful long way away. And I wanted to talk quickly about Megan Courtney, a former star at Penn State. Larson, now the veteran at 30 years of age. And that's always a little bit of a question mark. The Olympics seem like an awful long way away. And I wanted to talk quickly about Megan Courtney, a former star at Penn State University, an outside hitter. What do you think about Art Kiran moving her to Libero?
You want to try and maximize what your players are really good at. When you have a player that's passing well, that you don't necessarily want to play at the outside hitter position as a starter, you get her in there doing what she does best. Back plays.
Right on cue, Megan Courtney covering.
When you have a player that's passing well, that you don't necessarily want to play at the outside hitter position as a starter, you get her in there doing what she does best. Back plays.
Right on cue, Megan Courtney covering the off-speed shot, and then with a nice dig here. We have the into the end. 10 and out of bounds.
Whenever you change levels, you want to give a coach a reason to put you on the floor. Megan Courtney has done that. The reason is defensive passing, mainly passing. If you want playing time, be exceptional at one skill or two. You don't need to be that all-around athlete. Be the one that a coach looks and says, here's what I can get if I put this out on the board.
Megan Courtney, only 23 years of age, a long leap and out of bounds.
Whenever you change levels, you want to give a coach a reason to put you on the floor. Megan Courtney has done that. The reason is defensive passing, mainly passing. If you want playing time, be exceptional at one skill or two. You don't need to be that all-around athlete. Be the one that a coach looks and says, here's what I can get if I put this out on the board.
Megan Courtney, only 23 years of age, a long libero at 6'1". Kendar is off to a pretty quiet start so far. Brazil really needs her offense, and Kim Hill after the long rally minute. Kendar is off to a pretty quiet start so far. Brazil really needs her offense, and Kim Hill after the long rally misses that ball just over the sideline.
Kendar hitting negative territory right now. Only 2 kills, 3 errors on 9. And going into that last swing right now. Only 2 kills, 3 errors on 9. And going into that last swing probably has 10 and wait for the stats to update. But you do not want your best hitter in negative territory. You can do this for Brazil. It's still 1-1.
Perfect pass by Courtney once again. Beautiful dig by Gabriela, the libero for Brazil. And nice off-speed shot. Gabby with a good read over the top of the American block. And then once again getting Brazil out quickly to start the set.
And a smart tip throwing it down to the line. Jordan Larson was committed to something coming, maybe high, hard seam, something like that. That's wrong.
On the overpass, tap down, not yet to the floor. Play start to set.
And a smart tip throwing it down to the line. Jordan Larson was committed to something coming, maybe high, hard seam, something like that. That's wrong.
On the overpass, tap down, not yet to the floor. Missed opportunity, possibly for Brazil, but Roberta Ratsky takes things into her own hands. Number 9, the 6'1" setter.
What Ratsky does well here is she...
Missed opportunity, possibly for Brazil, but Roberta Ratsky takes things into her own hands. Number 9, the 6'1" setter.
What Ratsky does well here is she feels the momentum of the point. She feels how quickly this could be back on the United States side, and they'll be ill-prepared. And that's the sense you have to have as a setter. When and where do I go to put maximum pressure on my opponent?
There is Tendara once again, like the opening set. Brazil off to a very nice start, and Whitney is dug into the cross court.
Here is she feels the momentum of the point. She feels how quickly this could be back on the United States side, that they'll be ill-prepared. And that's a sense you have to have as a setter. When and where do I go to put maximum pressure on my opponent?
There is Tendara once again, like the opening set. Brazil off to a very nice start, and Whitney is dug into the cross court. And Kim Hill is blocked by number 20, Beatrice. So Brazil led 8-4 in the opening set, went on to win it 26-24. And now they're out to a 6-2 lead.
And it was blocking early on in that first set as well. It's happening once again here in set 2.
Timeout called by the United States early. Try to listen in on the American huddle. Once again, head coach Kirchhoff.
Once again here in set 2.
Timeout called by the United States early. Try to listen in on the American huddle. Once again, Coach Kirchhoff.
Kirchhoff saying slow things down. I like that call. But a team gets you on the defensive, sometimes your tendency is to speed up to get to the next one, to get to the next one on the board. When in fact, what you need to do is take it back to singular contacts. If you're passing, make a perfect pass, then move on to cover or swing to the outside, whatever your job is. Slow it down to the individual pieces. Make a bunch of good plays instead of trying to make one great play.
Time is so much of the essence with all of these teams. Coach Garai very happy with the training block he had of 9 days. 9 days, but that was a...
Slow it down to the individual pieces. Make a bunch of good plays instead of trying to make one great play.
Time is so much of the essence with all of these teams. Coach Garai very happy with a training block he had of 9 days. 9 days, but that was a real luxury as you went through the schedule of what a volleyball player goes through each and every year. Kim Hill is 6'4". Nicely over the top of the Brazilian block. A much needed side-out score.
And there's a player listening to her coach. I think what you heard there was hit the deep.
As you went through the schedule of what a volleyball player goes through each and every year. Kim Hill at 6'4". Nicely over the top of the Brazilian block. A much needed side-out score.
And there's a player listening to her coach. I think what you heard there was hit the deep corner like he did on Sunday. Kim Hill just hit the deep corner.
Bill, after playing professionally in Turkey for several years now in the Italian league. Side out score.
And there's a player listening to her coach. I think what you heard there was hit the deep corner like he did on Sunday. He'll just hit the deep corner.
Bill, after playing professionally in Turkey for several years now in the Italian league. Tandara out of the back row, able to find some open court against Jordan Larson in the United States.
Yeah, the outside hitters for the United States already kicked out. Not punched in at all. That leaves an island in a whole lot of space for Tandara.
Once again, coming up on the first of two technical timeouts. We'll step aside when the team reaches 8. Shank pass here by Larson.
The United States already kicked out. Not punched in at all. That leaves an island in a whole lot of space for Tandara.
Once again, coming up on the first of two technical timeouts. We'll step aside when the team reaches 8. Shank pass here by Larson. Usually very reliable. Nice hustle again by Brazil. Nice hustle again by Brazil. Whitney off the right side. Like you said, Kevin, you can't see 6'5", and that's not much of an approach there, but it needs to tap down by number 29 in blue.
And what she did well there was she changed the direction of the ball. So many times we've seen her just go seam already in this match. Here, she got around the ball, took it down the line, gave definite direction to it, and that's where the open in the block was, and that's where the opening on the defense was also located.
This is a big moment for Ayanna Whitney, should point out. Yes, she's 24, been around for a while, has a very nice resume, but this is her first ever start in a Team USA uniform.
There's been a lot of that this year, huh? That's in women's team, typical of the first season. Around the ball, took it down the line, gave definite direction to it, and that's where the open in the block was, and that's where the opening on the defense was also located.
This is a big moment for Ayanna Whitney, should point out. Yeah, she's 24, been around for a while, has a very nice resume, but this is her first ever start in a Team USA uniform.
There's been a lot of that this year, huh? That's in women's team, typical of the first season.
Brazil looking for the technical timeout over the top off speed.
There's a link to Courtney. Team typical of the first season.
Brazil looking for the technical timeout over the top off speed.
There's the link to Courtney.
And Natalia, number 12 in yellow, slicing through the American block.
That was a really nice volleyball point. Excellent play by both teams, and what you might want to go back and take another look at. More top flight volleyball happening in Anaheim. Brazil again up 8-4.
Women absolutely loaded, came into that tournament, Kevin, as a heavy favorite. How much pressure do you think they were under playing at home?
Yeah, I think it's actually worse to play at home sometimes. In the start of a tournament, I think you feel your way in. But a huge disappointment. I don't know how you deal with it. I mean, the men winning also on the other side did not help the women's side having lost. I actually thought that they would still be the favorites given how they had performed in the previous two Olympic Games and that they had still that core of players there. But they ran into a team in China, crossed over, was 2-3, barely got in, and then caught fire and won the whole tournament. So it's Roberto now. So, well, China's done that? Okay, we'll do it in Grand Prix. We'll barely get in, and then we'll catch fire and win it.
Well, it was the second straight Olympics. I'll finish the point in just a moment. The United States now down 9-4 in Ottawa with the kill. It was the second Olympics in a row, 2016 and 2012, the number 4 seed. Remember, previously Brazil barely made it into the quarterfinals, and they go on to win in China behind Zhu Ting and Long Ping, won the gold medal in Rio. Tandara looking at in a row, 2016 and 2012, the number 4 seed. Remember, previously Brazil barely made it into the quarterfinals, and they go on to win in China behind Zhu Ting and Long Ping, won the gold medal in Rio. Tandara looking for some hands. That ball missed out of bounds once again. Everyone talks about the Grand Prix. Okay, it's a new Brazilian team. The United States, we know who might be there in Tokyo, but of what you've seen this year, give me your top 4 or 5 teams in order.
I'll take Serbia number 1. I still don't know about China. I mean, I'll put Brazil in the top 3. I think there's a lot of space for a lot of people past that. Italy stepped up a little. Maybe one player short. The Netherlands has some question marks. They played so well, but they may have to play a little more perfect than they need. They'll get back there. Opposite. So, United States, Brazil, the Netherlands, Serbia. I'll put China in there. A lot of other teams can kind of sneak in. I think the best team is Serbia. I just think they need to learn how to play like that all the time. They have failed to do so in this year anyway, and they're not in Grand Champions Cup, so we've seen the last of them until next season.
What a dramatic matchup. Of course, going back to the Rio Olympic Games. 15-13.
States, Brazil, the Netherlands, Serbia, I'll throw China in there. There's a lot of other teams that kind of sneak in. I think the best team is Serbia. I just think they need to learn how to play like that all the time. They have failed to do so in this year anyway, and they're not in Grand Champions Cup, so we've seen the last of them until next season.
What a dramatic matchup, of course, going back to the Rio Olympic Games. A 15-13 fifth season. What a dramatic matchup, of course, going back to the Rio Olympic Games. A 15-13 fifth set victory for Serbia over the United States, and part of that, certainly a big part of that script, was Lukaku and Radovo being injured right at the end of the opening set.
And for the United States, here's what they need. They need a hammer. They need somebody just to be a lights-out hammer. They have a really nice system. A lot of players who play well in that system. As they get another block by a middle blocker here for Lukaku and Radovo. They have a wonderful team identity, team culture, and system that they put on the floor. But there are times when you need to throw up a high ball, and somebody's going to get a point for you.
You've got to be able to get yourself out of some trouble because you're going to be in it. Particularly against the list of teams that you just mentioned, Rachel Adams and Lukaku and Radovo, blocking the ball very well, getting the United States right back into the second set. And speaking of blocking, Radovo stuffed one-on-one by Brazil.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to get yourself out of some trouble because you're going to be in it. Particularly against the list of teams that you just mentioned, Rachel Adams and Lukaku and Radovo, and blocking the ball very well, getting the United States right back into the second set. And speaking of blocking, Radovo stuffed one-on-one by Brazil.
So take the meat of the court here. When you're all by yourself, take the middle. Take that seam away and make the player do something with the ball.
Out of the back row, an unforced error here by number 29, Whitney. And back-to-back points now for Brazil. If you're just joining us, best 3 out of 5 set match Brazil. Went up to a quick early lead in set number 1. Pulled off the United States and take the opener, 26-24. Dora with a stuff block there, working against Jordan Larson.
We're seeing some pretty uneven play from the United States. The level is going up and down, and that is a function of players who have not been on the floor together nearly as much as this Brazilian side.
I want to get back to the point you made, and I think you're absolutely 100% right about the United States needing a big hammer. But wouldn't that hammer already be in the USA gym? Or is it somebody who's playing in college now?
Yeah, I've talked to Coach Karai about that, and he doesn't see anyone on the horizon in that way. So the United States has left the play system volleyball and have to keep themselves in the system, and that's why you take somebody like Megan Courtney, who's your best passer, and turn her into your libero. Because what you're trying to do is make everyone else better because you're in system all the time, which is an easier way to run your offense.
So we find a way to get a little bit better. A little bit better ball, earlier ball, a little bit better touch. This is really good for us to fight through this quick team. And eventually we're going to get to the other side of that. We already did it once with a nice series of thirds from here. Perfect pressure, get that right back in.
Clark said one of the things he was really happy with over Grand Prix with the group that was there was the
a little bit better touch. This is really good for us to fight through this quick team. And eventually we're going to get to the other side of that. We already did it once with a nice series of thirds from here. Perfect pressure, get that right back in.
Clark said one of the things he was really happy with over Grand Prix with the group that was there was the fight in them. They did not quit. They do not quit. They will keep coming after you. And the results have been there for the American women. Look at that. The last few cycles here. And keep in mind, silver performances are nice, but that World Championship's first ever major tournament world title for the American side in any one of the 4-year cycles. That was a watershed moment for this group and this program and the United States Volleyball Association.
The next World Championships will be in 2018 in Japan, the Grand Champions Cup in Japan, the World Cup in Japan, the Olympics in
which is a great thing. I love playing in Japan. I think it's going to be well organized, always well run, and beautiful facilities. Scrappy play right now from Brazil.
Off speed right now from the United States and Brazil and Pandora, doing exactly the same. Good ball control here for Brazil, particularly during the course of long routes.
All right, watch the last 2 swings. Off play for the United States. Kim Hill gets there, but doesn't unload on it. What did Pandora do coming back the other way? You heard a little Monica Sellis in there, a little on the attack. I used to grunt when I hit. I mean, what? She's everything into this, and that is an in-rhythm play, but the pace is decidedly different.
Well, I agree with you, and I think the Brazilian teammates around Tandara would say the same thing. Natalia Pereira was awarded the MVP in the Grand Prix finals, but I think Tandara was the best player, the most important player, opting Radovo. That ball set too low by Carly Lloyd, knocking Radovo?
Yes, absolutely. That's on the setter. But once it leaves the setter's hands, it's on the hitter to do something with it and knock itself straight down. But that is not a good set from Carly Lloyd. Good choice. You get the one-on-one, but it's got to be a better location.
Opting Radovo. That ball set too low by Carly Lloyd, knocking Radovo?
Yes, absolutely. That's on the setter. But once it leaves the setter's hands, it's on the hitter to do something with it and not get stuff straight down. But that is not a good set from Carly Lloyd. Good choice. You get the one-on-one, but it's got to be a better location.
Jordan Larson says enough of this. Some nice heat off of Brazil's block and out of bounds for number 10 in blue. 2015 and 2016, Larson was Team USA Player of the Year and MVP of the Champions League on multiple occasions as well. Boy, Brazil is outpassing the United States right now. I don't know if you want to serve number 12, Natalia. Right on target. Good kill by Carroll out of the middle, and we come to the second technical timeout. Brazil leading 16-10 in the second.
The end of civilization survives only women's club.
2018, the world's best athletes compete on the world's biggest stage, the Winter Olympics, coming February to the networks of NBC Universal. Back with Kevin Barnett. I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks for joining us on the Olympic Challenge. There is Team USA on the men's side. Their head coach, John Spera, Aaron Russell, there as well. And they will be headed over to their own version of the Grand Champions Cup as well.
Yep, happening a week after the women's. They have a little bit of training time left to go. Carson Park is in there. A lot of good young talent on that side as well. Both these coaches, too. I know the organization feels like they have it. I would agree with it. Having Karchkarai and John Spera locked up even before the last Olympics for another 4-year run was the right move. These are two men who are doing terrific things with each of their programs.
Just one quick note on the Grand Champions Cup in a moment. Nice play out of the middle. I was watching your online show, the Net Live, the other day, and Rich Lamborn, gold medalist from 2008, reminded me, he said, you know what's the best thing about the Grand Champions Cup? Prize money. Prize money. It's a chance to make some extra money before you go back to your professional game.
Don't kid yourself, volleyball players like every other professional athlete. You throw a little cheese out there and they will show up and give it everything they have.
Brazil's doing an excellent job of scrambling and then beating the United States in transition. That ball missed on the antenna down the line.
A little cheese out there and they will show up and give it everything they have.
Brazil doing an excellent job of scrambling and then beating the United States in transition. That ball missed on the antenna down the line. There's Aaron Russell, Taylor Sander.
Thomas Jeschke there right in the front, along with Aaron Brock, trainer Max Holt in the back. Max Holt back in there, Matt Anderson back. See James Shaw wandering around.
The United States men, like the women, won the bronze medal at the Rio Olympic Games, and there was so much similar in their respective scenarios to a bronze medal. The United States had a 22-19 lead over Ivan Zaitsev in the fourth set, up 2-1, couldn't close it out, and then of course the United States up 1-0 over Serbia, couldn't close that either.
Eric Shoji, Libero, Micah Christensen, center. Behind him, the beard of Mitch Stahl. That's epic, man. He should play with the McKibbins on the beach. That's some sort of indoor-outdoor competition for the best beard in the sport.
How long would it take you to grow that beard?
Probably about 20 minutes with a makeup artist. That's it. That's the only way that's happening.
You got no chance.
That is epic right there.
Well, let's talk about the chance.
Can we get him in like a 1920s outfit? Maybe a monocle? Something like that?
That is a strong look. And speaking of strong, nice play here by Brazil, leading 18-13, Kevin, the scenario for the United States to get back into this match, already trailing 1-0.
Now pass better, get the connection with the middle going. Michelle Barch and an outside hitter. Now, hey, there's a big arm. I think Barch. Oh, pardon me, Kim Hill. I thought for a second Michelle Barch is right in front of me here. Similar players, but about 6'4".
Are you suggesting a substitution by any chance?
Well, Michelle Barch has proven herself able to hit the ball hard in a variety of situations, which I do like. Barch. Oh, pardon me, Kim Hill. I thought for a second Michelle Barch is right in front of me here. Similar players, but about 6'4".
Are you suggesting a substitution by any chance?
Well, Michelle Barch has proven herself able to hit the ball hard in a variety of situations, which I do like.
Jordan Larson on the wrist away out of the back row.
Transition, back row kill, and one of the reasons it's possible is because Karchkarai said Jordan Larson plays defense to a level that we will let her play middle back. Defense. We will not move her to the left back and put the libero in the middle back, so that improves the chances that you can get the ball to number 10 in transition in the back row onto that big spot.
Donna Whitney out of Penn State making her first ever start for the United States. Got off to a quick start, but has been a little bit quiet here like the rest of her teammates here in the second set. Brazil leading 19-14. And Brazil is just digging almost everything in sight right now. on the slide, number 16 in blue.
You got to keep going to it. It hasn't been the best in this match, but you know it can be, and a tremendous weapon for Team USA. Fluga Akinrado at times positively unstoppable off the back slide throughout her career. One of the things you may have noticed in there and earlier in this match, too, Jordan Larson is doing a lot of offsetting. That's one of those little skills that she brings. When I say she can do everything, that includes a tiny thing like offsetting.
Nice play on the slide, stabbed and kept alive by Hill.
That ball's tight.
Smart play up into the block by Natalia to get her teammate Tandara another swing. What a good lesson by number 12 in yellow for you young players out there. You're in trouble, up into the block, restart the point.
And it's nice to have this coming out of the back row. Look where it goes, too. Wrist away, wide open, already preloading and taking off was Kim Hill.
Tandara was off to a very, very slow start. Teammate Tandara, another swing. What a good lesson by number 12 in yellow for you young players out there. You're in trouble, up into the block, restart the point.
And it's nice to have this coming out of the back row. Look where it goes, too. Wrist away, wide open, already preloading and taking off was Kim Hill.
Tandara was off to a very, very slow start, but now Roberta getting her some looks out of the back row.
I'm not a big fan of the preload. I see it in women's volleyball all the time now. So what happens is the outside blocker will turn away from the play before it's set. They will already be headed to the left or to the right before the play is set. I don't think you can give that away. I don't think you can telegraph it in the game today. And furthermore, I don't think it's necessary. I think the players are fast enough, they're big enough, they're long enough, certainly with Kim Hill. Don't preload and go away. Stay square, get involved in that pick attack, shut down the middle of the court also.
Carly Lloyd with a very nice read. Lloyd, a solid setter, 5'11", able to put that ball away. Look at that set in transition. Roberta, the setter for Brazil, just jacking that ball into perfect position.
I thought both setters did a nice job on their final contact in that rally. Right now, Brazil's defense, you have to give credit to him. That was a nice swing by Jordan Larson. She got a hold of it, and Brazil lifted up and lit it up for another good swing.
Assistant swing, another beautiful dig by Brazil.
That was another quality swing by Larson.
Oh, blocked again. Akinradova stuffed by Natalia.
It seems like the ball is a little low and a little short for Akinradova. She doesn't have the option to let it flow to the line here. It just was a tiny bit short. If it was a little longer, Akinradova could take it to the line rather than into the dead seam, where Brazil has done a good job of being steady.
Better set that time to Akinradova, but matched by better defense and then Tandara. High off.
Take it to the line rather than into the dead seam, where Brazil has done a good job of being steady.
Better set that time to Akinradova, but matched by better defense and then Tandara. High off the top of the block and out of bounds. Boy, it is tough to put the ball on the floor against this Brazilian team. Now with a big lead in the second.
Tandara is taking out the trash. That's what you have to do as an opposite. Karchkarai told us at one point about his opposite. Oh, she's really a good in-system opposite. Yeah, that's not great. What you need a garbage collector.
Yeah, you can find a lot of in-system opposites. You need somebody who can do as you talk about. Hit your way out of a real big problem. That ball sort of just over the sideline. Brazil still with a 23 to 17 advantage. Look to Akinradova, now 29 years of age, originally from Plantation, Florida. Had a magnificent career some years ago at Stanford.
Here, one of the terrific players on the beach, Sarah Hughes, one of the newest young talents. There you see Luria Kimura on the right, president of USA Volleyball, Taiba Honey Park, of course, an Olympian and medalist for Team USA on the indoor side. And in background, if you caught it there, we've seen him wandering around. Scott Fortune is here, Gary Sato, Paula Weishoff, Sarah Hughes, and Ava Ross about to play on the beach in Chicago this upcoming weekend. The AVP will be in action on NBC. Of course, two-time NCAA beach volleyball champion Sarah Hughes, and that was at USC these last 2 years with her partner Kelly Clays. They've been the hottest young team on the beach for Team USA. April Ross playing with Lauren Fendrick, second place at World Championships. Incredible silver medal for both of them. And April Ross, over the last few years, has been the best American women's player on the beach. She has been tremendous. I think about from the moment where her partner Kerry Walsh-Jennings was injured, and she had to pick up some of the slack when Kerry was still playing with an injured shoulder. And April Ross got just exceptional at going over on two, raised the level of her game, and has never looked back.
Michelle Bartackley also on the floor now at an outside hitting position.
And Andy Drews in at the opposite. Wholesale changes for Karchkarai.
Andy Drews bringing a high heat off the left side. Drews had 15 kills on 38 swings on Sunday night, the former Purdue Boilermaker.
She has been the closest thing to a hammer we've seen this season since her emergence late in Grand Prix. She got a chance and took ultimate advantage.
A rare ball handling mistake for Brazil, and it cost them as the United States out quickly here in the third. And speaking again of Andy Drews, she's 23 years of age, 6'4", out of Elkhart, Indiana, as a timeout is called by Brazil. But Drews had been playing in Germany came off the bench for Karchkirai at the Grand Prix, played really well, and earned herself in those brief couple of performances a lot more lucrative contract moving up to the top division in the Italian league. So when opportunity knocks, you better walk through that door because there could be a big payday on the other side.
And Andrews is a perfect example of a player in college who was good, very good at Purdue, but flew under the radar for a lot of people. Every time you see the level jump, some players...
Off the block and out of bounds. Drews comes through quickly with a couple of kills. Lauren Carlini comes in with an absolutely superlative resume. A lot of expectations for Carlini. Only volleyball player ever to win the prestigious Sullivan Award. What do you think her role can be on this team that can challenge Carly Lloyd?
Well, it's TBD at this point. We have not seen much of her.
Haven't seen her. She was not on the roster for the Grand Prix. Micah Hancock, former star at Penn State, was the other setter. So Carlini is going to get maybe a real opportunity coming up at the Grand Champions Cup.
Listen, nothing's an anointing. You're not given anything at the national level. She's going to have to earn it, just like everyone else has to do it. Does she have the tools? Absolutely. Will she be the starter? Is she the next setter for USA Volleyball? Who knows? That's the excitement of watching these early years.
Right, and the players decide who plays. If you play better, you're on the court. Carlini had a magnificent career for the Wisconsin Badgers. That ball drifts just out of bounds, and interesting about nothing being given. I asked Karchkirai about one of the things, the most important things he learned during his first 4 years as a head coach. He said, one of the things I've learned was to never presume anything. I never thought Kim Hill would make my team. I never thought she'd be a starter. I never thought Rachel Adams would kind of come out of nowhere and become one of the top middle blockers in the world. So, players, they'll get an opportunity at some point, and it's whether or not they step up and perform.
Barchackley possesses.
Nice turn down the line by number 14, 27-year-old Michelle Barchackley, 6'2", out of Maryville, Illinois. The former member of the University of Illinois, playing professionally now in Germany.
Married in the midst of a rainstorm this past summer. Speaking of rainstorms, I'm going to send out our thoughts and considerations to the friends of the volleyball world down in Houston.
Oh, no, sir, no, sir. Some nincompoop stole all my wool sweater. Oh, I'll find you.
At its core, it's a test of fitness, will, and strength. This is more than a race. This is the Spartan Race. Tomorrow on NBCSN.
Welcome back to the USA Volleyball Cup, presented by... Another chance out of transition. The connection not there, and we talked about it right before first serve. You got Rachel Adams and Paluk Akinradwo, two of the most dynamic middle blockers in the world, and now dealing with some new setters.
Definitely dealing with a new connection. We'll see how that works out. Of course, you mentioned they only had 9 training days before they came into this event here. And Grand Champions Cup upcoming. That
one a little bit lucky by number 16, Paluk Akinradwo. And we should send out our congratulations to Paluk, just engaged, to John Gunderson. Barchackley with the perfect pass and the high snapper from Paluk Akinradwo.
Paluk Akinradwo is a player who had other plans for her life. She wanted to do other things. Go back to school, maybe med school. And for a while, she had a plan. She told me, here's the years I'm going to do it. Here's what's going to happen. And then I talked to her a couple years later and said, you're still here? She said, well, I've stopped making any sort of plans. I'm playing volleyball.
Gabby back to serve. All the United stick to point. Boy, the United States wants to play really, really fast. Sometimes it doesn't look pretty, but it puts a lot of pressure on the opponent's block.
It certainly does. Puts a lot of pressure on your hitters too, to get up and be in that position. And there's always a blend between speed and what your hitter can do with the ball. And at times, the speed is so fast you limit your hitters. So Karchkirai and his staff constantly having to evaluate what does that player need, what can we get him to do inside the system, how fast can we go. It's a delicate dance.
Oh, that ball set inside intentionally, and Natalia just ripping it back to the line.
In order to do this, you have to get to the ball. So it's left inside. Natalia gets there to get that orientation where she's still swinging high and able to bring the ball back across her body. Good footwork.
Well, Natalia's been very quiet, just 5 of 21. Tendara leading the way with 10 kills, but it's taken her 30 swings to get there. That ball tipped nicely over the top by number 5, Adams.
Good touch and awareness there by Rachel Adams, the open court and where it's located.
And working against an opponent's middle blocker, Anna Beatrice, number 21, no part of getting after that ball. Good read by Larson. Cruz down the line. Nice quick delivery. Back to back by Carlini.
Do yourself a favor. Go back and watch it again. That was fun. Some volleyball is just a blast. Jordan Larson made a whole bunch of really good off plays for Team USA there. She's been asked to make some weirdo plays, and you've seen throughout this entire match, number 10, in some strange situations, react to the ball, and her touch has been impressive.
At a magnificent Olympic Games, was the third most efficient attacker at the Rio Olympics and was the second best receiver statistically. So as you talked about, a 5-tool player. Tandara might not have all 5 tools, but she's got are pretty important.
Yeah, one of them is a giant sledgehammer. So when you have the sledgehammer, you just use it.
And Tandara, kind of undersized at only 6 feet, but she gets the most out of that right arm. March Hackley passing the ball very nicely, and Drews comes through. That ball stabbed and kept alive. And Larson on the wrist away. That ball left a little bit short, but she got to it.
Right away, Larson did not leave the play. She's off in the right front. The ball typically is just put over into the middle. Brazil does something a little cute with it. Number 10 standing there waiting, playing her responsibility, and then able to get that quick transition.
With plenty of time to get back into this third set. Back to Drews once again and finds a small seam. She's been good. Got an opportunity in the Grand Prix finals in China, coming in for Kelly Murphy and put up really solid numbers. I remember the first time we saw Drews, like 13 kills in 3 sets, and came back and got the start the very next day. Good soft block out of the middle by Akinradowo. He gets right back in. We'll step aside to Luke Akinradowo in the United States, trying to get back into this match.
The day after chemo.
If you will, before heading over to Japan tomorrow, the World Grand Champions Cup will start in Tokyo on the 5th and conclude in Nagoya on the 10th. It's a round-robin tournament. 6 teams in all. I'll give those to you after this point. Tandara again going high flat. Here are the 6 teams: China, Japan, Korea, Russia, the United States, and Brazil. Not the toughest or strongest field, certainly. You'd love to see a team, quite frankly, other than Russia, coming out of Europe. Serbia, Italy, the Netherlands, or Serbia. Yeah, take your pick.
Any of those 3 would be a lot better than Russia.
Good swing by March Hackley. High flat. You could easily hear that off the top of the Brazilian block.
What I like about this lineup versus the one we started is
that they were a medal contender going into Rio. They played really well, so they qualified as continental champions a couple of years ago. So that's why Russia is in, if you're wondering. Boy, how the mighty have fallen. Look at the historical resume of the Russian women. They're not really. You listed your top 5 or 6 teams, and they're just an afterthought right now.
Yeah, that's just behind Korea as long as Kim Young-kyung is there. They don't have any singular talent. They don't really put a lot of pressure on you. You just watch Icarus. I don't know how much that blends into volleyball, but it's not a good film in terms of what's been going on in the Russian Olympic movement.
Double sub on the floor now for Brazil. Nice play on the slide. Lauren Carlini has been impressive, and the United States receivers are helping her out a lot.
Certainly are, and keep going to it. We'll say even in misconnections, that's what you got to work on. So when you have a chance to set it, by all means, give it a whirl. Akinradowo now 7 kills, but a whole bunch of errors. She's hitting 125, but a lot of those errors are just misconnections, low sets, and complete misses.
Drews missed that. You can hear into the top of the tape. No touch calls against Brazil. And even team, Kevin, is lighting it up offensively. The United States has got 39 kills to Brazil's 33, but in terms of efficiency, 170, 14-11, the Netherlands over China.
I know. 20-12, USA over Greece in 2004, but those instances are rare. And I don't expect Brazil to come all the way back. It might gain a little momentum, though. If you're Brazil, you're just looking for 3-4 real points on your serve, transition kills, recaptured on your side. Get Z Roberto in a better mood before you have to change sides and listen to him.
In the United States, you want to finish well what you started very strongly. They led 8-2, 16-7 at the 2 technical timeouts, now on top 20-11. Brazil's passing breaking down a little bit here. March Hackley nicely out of the back row, number 14 in blue.
Yeah, that's a rotation where the middle serves, so you have March Hackley in the middle back. You can use her in transition. You saw earlier, Team USA with Danny Drews ran a backslide and then a C over the top of it. That ball kind of between the pipe and the D. I'm not a big fan of that because you're already drawing blockers into that space with the backslide. Then you're going to run something slower over the top of them. I like much better that kick attack.
Natalia Pereira with a very easy kill off the edge of the block. Took off things by both of these teams.
Still looking for about a 19 finish here. That would be good for them. 25-19, they would feel good if I headed into the next set with a little bit of positive momentum.
Lloyd at 5'11". They hold things up very nicely in terms of the blocking phase as well. That ball shanked out of bounds by the United States. Maybe one more and a timeout called by Karski Rod. Still a very comfortable lead. Bartek doing a really nice job passing the ball, but a better block on the outside.
There's Carter's timeout.
Well, I didn't think you could go much longer. Very nice block on perimeter by Monique Foul. It's a timeout called by the United States, 21-15. We talked about the Grand Champions Cup, and you can catch all of that action on the Olympic Channel. And here's the order of matches for the Americans. They play China first. Get ready for that one. That's a pretty good match to start. And then they play South Korea, Russia, Japan, and close out against Brazil. Those are the teams in the tournament and how they qualify.
Grand Champions Cup this year. World Championships next year, which is the polar opposite of this one. Only 6 teams here. Something over 24 World Championships. Then you will have World Cup. That one's typically 12 teams. It has been an Olympic qualifier, although will not be this time the target. So you traded one target for another. Teams tried to work on Michelle Barchackley throughout.
Monique able to come through with a nice skill. Brazil trying to regain a little bit of momentum headed into the fourth set. And they won the first set behind a really quick start. Actually won the first 2 sets after leading 8-4 in both of them. Won the first 26-24. Really outplayed the United States in the second. Won at 25-18. Bartackley again. Another pretty good pass. And that ball just missed out of bounds in the deep cross-court corner.
So Brazil's worked themselves back into a good situation. 22-17 now, definitely reaching that 19. Anything 19 and above, that's good for the women in blue and yellow.
One of the few blemishes in the stat line for Annie Drew. She'll get another look in rotation number 1 and comes through with her 7th kill on 13 swings.
She had 8 points in the second set on Sunday. So I think she's a known factor at this point. You have 5, 6, 7 matches that you've played Annie Drew. She's been good in all of them. She's my starter if I'm Coach Karai.
On the overpass, Rachel Adams tried to redirect and missed it over the sideline. That should usually be points.
Because they treat Brazil like Conor McGregor.
Good fight. I was on an airplane. Did you get a chance to see it?
It was a terrific spectacle.
It should have been at that price.
Well, it was a good spectacle.
I mean, between the two of them, they're going to take home $400 million. Oh, slammed to the floor that time by Neon Rios.
I expect to see Brazil starters from the beginning of this match back for the next set.
Marley Al, 6'2", back to opposite has come on. As part of the double sub, set point number 2 now for the United States. Boy, I like that delivery an awful lot. Going against the flow, and Annie Drews, the recipient of a perfect set by Lauren Carlini. And Drews and the United States are on the board. They win the third, 25. Again to the USA Volleyball Cup presented by the Olympic Channel, home of Team USA. The United States on the board, Kevin Barnett. They win the third set, 25-19. And one of the biggest reasons, certainly number 11, Annie Drews.
Continues to establish herself as a known factor. And if I were Coach Karai, this would be my starter. Number 11 at the opposite, headed into next week's Grand Champions Cup. Opposites of mindset, in addition to ability. Hit the ball high, hit it hard in a variety of situations. Front row or back row, it hasn't mattered. She's actually given Team USA a real back row presence on that D. I might run less back slide. I would keep the middles closer to the center with Drews in back row.
Drews has got 8 kills on 14 swings. She has hit a couple of balls out of bounds, but 429 efficiency and hitting 500.
In fact, she's 6'4". Does not need much to get up and over the block.
Drews is making a case.
I don't know, the case is made. I'd render a verdict now.
Natalia loves the wrist away and just finds a piece of the sideline. Number 12, Brazil winning the Grand Prix. Kind of stunned everybody. Almost a brand new roster, only 2 holdovers from the Olympic Games in Rio. Natalia was the most valuable player again. Beat Italy in the finals. That was a surprising final because China and Serbia played for the bronze medal.
Yeah, the real surprise was those semifinals. As Drew again works off the hands, frustrating Sandara. That bit Brazil managed to go through Serbia, who I thought was the best team, but has shown time and again their ability to lose interest in a match. But then have it happen again with Italy was remarkable. You might say, hey, one of these semifinals will go against the paper, but not both.
Italy again, not necessarily a huge factor on the women's side the last couple of Olympic cycles, but that may all change. I like their roster, and I love the best teenager in the world, Paula Egonu. Remember you, 6'7" opposite was on their roster. She's been added to their roster for the European Championship, so maybe looking for another arm.
Yeah, the only problem is she plays the same position as Paula Egonu, so you have to make a choice of any outside hitter who can do it.
Yeah.
Michelle Barch, it's on the outside for Team USA. I like both of those swings by her, even the one that's out. You need some aggression. You need to learn how to hit the ball in so many situations with heat. You cannot be conservative all the time and make the hitting progress necessary to really be a lights-out attacker.
Rachel Adams misses that jump float serve into the top of the tape, so she will give way as the middle blocker to Megan Courtney, the libero, number 17.
I've been really impressed with Rachel Adams' inside hand position. Right or left, she's done a terrific job of closing down the angles. Time and again, we've seen her get stuffs into her good touches.
Drews again rips that. Annie Drews has got really nice rhythm right now, and maybe that's part of it. Drews has been on the second team most of the time, so playing with Lauren Carlini in practice and a lot of training sessions.
Agreed, but she's had success with both centers.
That's true. Good point.
And you watch, she hit one line. That was one angle. Totally impressive performance thus far by number 11.
And it's no longer a surprise. We saw her do it on a couple of pressure situations during the finals in China of the Grand Slam. This is the USA Volleyball Cup. Two friendlies, if you will, between Brazil and the United States as they both conclude their preparations to leave for Japan tomorrow in the Grand Champions Cup. Brazil won the opening set 26-24. They won the second 25-18 before Karchkiarai's American squad turned the tables, won the third 25-19. And here we are with Brazil leading 6-5 in the fourth. Shackley has come on to replace Kim Hill, and Lauren Carlini has come in at the setting position to replace Carly Lloyd.
I think Michelle Barch-Shackley's made a pretty good case to be on the floor herself. You compare her to Kim Hill, and what we saw from Kim Hill, both are kind of serving targets, but Michelle Barch-Shackley can bring some out-of-system attacking and an ability to hit the ball at a higher pace than Kim Hill. It may come down to something like blocking or serving in terms of who you play. Kim Hill, remember, great server for the American side over the last few years.
Nice connection. Carlini blocking Rodwell. Nice insistent offense for the United States. And Barch-Shackley is one of those players who's been playing at a really high level since the conclusion of her collegiate career at Illinois, now playing in Germany. She's 27. She's been right on the cusp of making some elite American rosters, but just not been able to break through.
Had been taking 4 outside hitters to Rio. She was the 4th.
That ball somehow crawls down inside. Carlini. Brazil playing for gold and silver in London.
Yeah, this match, United States, the prohibitive favorite in the tournament. I thought the best team throughout. Buried Brazil, 25-9 in set number 1. And kudos to Brazil.
Going to finish the thought in a moment. Now we have after this ace. Aisa may come back. She suffered a very serious ankle injury, the 6'5" middle blocker. Shayla announced her retirement, but is now sort of nosing around and as to whether or not she might come back. Danny Linz, the starting setter from Rio, is pregnant with her first child. Fernanda Garay definitely coming back. And now Fabiana Claudino, probably the number 1 middle blocker in the world for the last 6 or 7 years. Now 33 years of age, and Gilberto thinks that she might come back as well. So
maybe she'll sit at home playing video games.
I don't know what that story is. Timeout called by Karchkiarai with the United States now trailing 10-6. Wandering in the background, someone who you know very, very well, Kevin, having played for the legendary Marv Dunphy. There he is next to Karchkiarai, kind of an interesting transposition. Marv Dunphy coached Karchkiarai to the World Championship, the World Cup Championship, and the Olympic.
Dunphy, a remarkable man in this sport. I'm honored to have played for him. Retired after so many years, but it opens up an opportunity for him to join Karchkiarai on continuing adventures in the international game. I asked Karch this week on my show, I said, you ever think about the fact that Karch used to be in charge, Marv used to be in charge of you, Karch, and now you are in charge of Marv? He says, I'm not really in charge of Marv.
Right.
We're equals in that respect. I said, well, that's fine. Just make sure he doesn't go to McDonald's too many times while you're in Japan, okay?
Yeah, one of the greats of the game, no doubt about it. Karchkiarai, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, twice indoors and once on the beach. Much needed side-out score for Kirai's Team USA as Carlini goes back to the line. Seeing Lauren Carlini, albeit in a brief appearance, what are your thoughts?
I like it. I like the performance of both setters. Aside from the middle connection, which they're going to have to work on, both have left it a little inside and a little bit low. I like the overhead moves from both. And I've been impressed with the athleticism of Carlini, who I've not spent a lot of time watching. I spent a ton of time in the Pac-12, but not in the Big Ten, so I don't have the same view of her as many of the players out west.
Carlini just about to start her first professional season. Shank pass there. And Brazil has outdug and certainly out-ball controlled the United States over the long haul, now leading 14-7. And a timeout once again called by the United States.
whatever it is you want to have a player, you can also play, because so many of the tournaments, including the Olympic Games and the international scene, are incredibly long and tiring, exhausting. Some of them are back-to-back days. World Cup, 11 matches, 14 days has been the format. Olympic Games, every other day for 2 weeks. You want to be able to put another player out there that's capable. So it may not be just about the starters. It's about the complete group and how they function and what you can get out of them day after day after day and reach the end of the tournament still in peak condition.
Well, and to exactly that point, remember Feluca Conrado being injured at the Olympics, but if you turn back the dial to 2014, she suffered the same injury during the World Championships, and they had to completely shut her down for 6 days, and still the United States was able to go on and win.
Well, and in comes Krista Dietzen in the United States.
Yeah.
1 point away from going to the gold medal match.
They need to make one play. They need to make a play here, one at a time. That ball tipped up into the block by Adams. That ball dug, but out of bounds. Look at the kill to Jordan Larson. And looking at her numbers so far on the night, not very impressive. 10 kills now on 36 swings, hitting just about 100.
Yeah, but how many errors in that? Only 2 errors. Think about all the weirdo swings that she's had to take. That's when it can become deceptive. And you're out there just trying to manage.
Time for the United States in a must-win situation, trailing 2 sets to 1. Rachel Adams has become a very good jump float server. But Natalia Pereira handles that like it was nothing. And then ripped down the line, wrist away, patented shot by number 11 Pandora. Teams will head to the side. Must-win situation, and Brazil has not made it easy, as you pointed out, Kevin. Brazil rested their starters sort of the second half of that third set when the United States was way ahead. They brought all their stars back on. Remember, this Brazilian team's been together all summer long, having just won the Grand Prix again in China at the end of the last month, and here they are rolling here in the fourth.
Too many quality plays by Brazil. Defense has kind of carried the day. Defensive transition swing.
Nice play by Tandar to keep it all alive. Brazil has been so much better at the defensive end. And that ball off the edge of the block. Well, maybe a little bit of a correction here. Karch Kirai saying, wait a minute, that ball was in, but remember, we have no challenge system, but the officials tonight, Kevin Call and Ron Stahl, are saying, wait a minute, straight down, put on your side of the net.
Correct. The blocker's not getting over, and that ball getting underneath the hands of Team USA.
Good work by the officials. That was a real quick bang-bang play. 18-10, not insurmountable, but this is probably a 97% situation unless Drews, among others, can really put together a strong run for the United States. That ball ripped into the cross court. Rose Maria Montebello, who we haven't seen all night long, saw her a lot in the Grand Prix, but that's just another really good arm for Brazil.
Rosa Maria, big, tall, physical, and I like her attitude. She plays the game with an edge. She plays a little angry. I think that feeds her side.
Looking over to the sideline, getting some serving instructions from head coach Roberto Jose Guimaraes. And that ball served just out of bounds. One other thought on Jose Guimaraes, now in his 15th year as head coach for Brazil, the 63-year-old led the Brazilian men to a gold medal in 1992, and then gold medals again in 2008 and 2012. Brazil in Rio, a major disappointment when they lost to the eventual champions from China. It's a major disappointment, yeah, because it came in the quarterfinals. That was the only time Americano Zinho was quiet for 14 days. It was when the Brazilian women lost.
And as assistant coaches from the summer, Don Newman, Gonchar, and Aaron Virtue both having gone back to their collegiate positions at Arkansas and Northwestern. In future years, you'll have to have your entire staff intact. But Tommy Miyashiro, where it has to get a coach one of her former clubs, help out in Germany after completion with Team USA.
Marge Hackley back to the line. The United States trailing by 7. Once again, got to win the set to stay alive and force the 5th tiebreaker. Oh, that ball's got to come up. Larson with a high flat swing, but the cover not there. I think that was Conrado that missed it.
And you have to get a lower position here. You got to drop down and pull that ball up. That was a good swing. That is what you want to do when you're out of position.
Larson now has had a busy night, taken 37 swings, 10 kills to show for it. It's a good bounce back for Brazil. This is really a together team. This is what they played during the course of the Grand Prix when they won it. Number 13, Amanda on now to serve. Good block on the outside. The connection not there between Conrado and Carlini.
Now that one was pushed far enough. Thought it was high enough, but it's too tight to the net.
That's a bad set. And it's just a poor connection and delivery by Carlini, number 7.
Yeah, that's one of those that
struggles ever since because she suffered the same injury. Oh, that ball right on the corner. sideline, end line by Natalia, number 12, with a kill.
I think Team USA drawn in by the terrible contact there. That was not what Natalia wanted to do with it. It was kind of a thump instead of a smack with the ball. It just happened to work out in her favor.
That ball hit out of bounds, but touch is called. Kevin Cole, the first referee, trying to sell it against Brazil. But again, there is no challenge system in play tonight in these friendly matches. Challenge system has been a great addition to volleyball, used internationally now for what is it, probably 6 years, Kevin, and they've really, for the most part, got it pretty wired.
Yeah, it's dialed in now. It was an experiment, an ongoing experiment for a bit. 3 different systems, a whole bunch of different companies vying for it. The Hawkeye system has proven to be consistent, which is what at the end of the day you really want as a player, coach, and program.
Brazil now 2 points away, so they will, it looks like, certainly split the USA Cup friendly series before they both get on a plane and head off for Japan. Arch Hackley has been superb in reception. I want to look at her numbers. Drew's trying to find a small seam, so the United States barely keeping their slim hopes alive. Drew's another very solid performance, this time coming off the bench, leading the United States. Look at this. In just a couple of sets, 12 kills to lead the Americans on 21 swings, hitting .429.
That'll get you a starting job.
Match point again for Brazil. Perfect pass. Where do you go? You go to Carroll on the side, and that'll do it. A very nice performance for the Grand Prix champions from Brazil as they take down the United States 3-1.
If you're Brazil, you have confirmation that the group you have is of quality, and you're headed to Grand Champions Cup in a good situation to perhaps pick up another world title. If you're the United States, you experimented with some lineups. You saw some good, some bad, a little bit uneven. You're going to work with your middles a lot more on that connection with both setters to try and get them involved. But I like the United States' chances with Coach Karai distilling down the information he's learned over the last 3 days and these 2 matches. They have some good options in the gym. They can compete and play with anyone.
You've got Akinradwo back. You've got Rachel Adams back. Jordan Larson, Kim Hill, integrating a couple of new setters, if you will, into that combination. Not much time as they start the Grand Champions Cup coming up like this. Brazil got off a wonderful starts in both the first 2 sets. They win at 26-24 in the first, easily 25-18 in the second. Coach Karai made a couple of changes to his lineup. The Americans bounced back, won the third, 25-19, but it was all Brazil out-digging and out-passing the United States. They close out the Americans 25-15. Now the United States will head off for Japan, and they will face China on the 5th of September. You can catch all of that on the Olympic Channel.
I think Brazil's my favorite heading into Grand Champions Cup. I think they're better than China. I don't think China has enough consistency. I think Brazil can bring it and do it, but it's going to be a Brazil-China-United States battle for that title.
How would that be? Brazil with a new roster, and they not only win the Grand Prix, but they win the Grand Champions Cup. That would be pretty good. But for tonight, time for us to say so long. Brazil wins at 3-1. You've been watching the USA Volleyball Cup, presented by the Olympic Channel, home of Team USA. Good night, everybody.